Oh, hey everybody! Sorry, rocking out to my favorite pop star group, which, speaking of idols, is what the subject of today's review is all about with Oshi no Ko. So while I continue rocking on, if you will, go ahead and enjoy my review of Oshi no Ko. To talk about Oshi no Ko's premise would require I spoil a pretty big plot point that anyone who has just seen the advertisement would probably not guess would happen, especially with one character in particular being the front and center of the entire series. So while I would love to not tell you anything more about it, I'm going to need to for the purposes of this review. It is worth noting that this spoiler comes from the very first movie-sized episode, so if you've already seen it or aren't worried about an early spoiler, continue on. The entirety of the show centers around this one character. Her name is Ai Hoshino, and every facet of what the show is pretty much about her. Though, she's not the main character. No, in fact, she dies in the very first episode. A fact that was most surprising to me. Yet, her death does not signal the end of her presence on the show. As I mentioned, every facet of what the show is surrounds this character, and is a motivator for the actual protagonist, Aqua, to seek revenge against the person who sent this killer after her. But let's back up here, because the premise of the show is actually quite weird to start off. You see, Aqua was originally a doctor named Goru Amamiya, who ends up getting assigned to help teen pop idol Ai give secret birth to twins. Something he's very excited about since Ai is his favorite idol of all time and has a bit of an infatuation with. Unfortunately, this is not meant to be, because the person who ultimately kills Ai ends up killing him first, and through some magical plot means winds up getting reincarnated as one of Ai's two twin children. As you can imagine, he's elated by this, now being the son of the idol that he looks up to the most, which makes it all the sadder as he is witness to her final moments of life. And now, vowing revenge, uses his newfound connections to this industry to find the person who sent this killer after her. Now, keep in mind this is not a murder mystery show. You're not hunting down clues with Aqua to try to figure out who's behind the murder. No, the show is actually a spotlight on the industry, showing you all the unpleasantries that come with trying to achieve fame in this space. As such, the show tackles a variety of subjects, from bullying to suicide to exploitation, and it does it in such a fascinating way that I was always excited to see where the show would go next. Along for the ride is a fantastic cast of supporting characters who, now that I think about it, are a majority female, which I guess technically makes this a harem, and it has some of the harem tropes associated with it, but I'm getting off topic here. Apart from the girls that develop feelings for Aqua, there is also his twin sister who dreams of becoming an idol herself. She is also someone who in a previous life was infatuated with Ai and ends up getting reincarnated as one of her children. The show tries to somewhat split the focus on both Ai and his sister Ruby, which makes her a dual protagonist of sorts, but the sisters are just never brought the same highs that Aqua's did. And I think the show knows this, as it does give priority to Aqua's journey. Don't take that to mean that I think the character is bad. She's just not as interesting as Aqua, and you notice it. But I was never bored with her either. The rest of the supporting cast are all interesting and present facets of the personalities in the industry that you're bound to encounter, which I think the show is very smart about. Character design here is also pretty good, and I think it's become a staple for the series. I mean, who doesn't look at those eyes and immediately think Oshi no Ko? Though I will mention that the one-star eyes that the children inherited are sometimes distracting, especially during those huge dramatic moments where the star starts to encompass their entire face. I get what they're doing with this style, but it's a bit silly at points. On the negative front, I really only have nitpicks. The first is what I mentioned with Ruby not being as interesting as Aqua. Again, not bad, just not as strong. The whole harem thing is a bit odd given what the overall premise of the show is. Some romance is to be expected, but I feel it's only a matter of time before all these girls are swooning over the protagonist. Also, the whole supernatural reincarnation doesn't feel like it really adds anything to the overall plot. Maybe it does in the future, but I can easily think of a few ways to keep the story the same without that odd little element. Lastly, it's not over yet, but unlike with Chainsaw Man, there is a second season coming, so I'm not holding the lack of an ending against the show. Okay, that did seem like a lot of complaints, but as I said, all nitpicks. They just all kind of stack up to make one big complaint in a way. And did I mention the opening was catchy? I know that has nothing to do with the overall plot, but I thought I'd mention it. In the end, Oshi no Ko is a great series. It's one that keeps the suspense constant and always in new ways. It would have been easy to just make this a murder mystery thriller and leave it at that, but the fact that it has so much to say about the industry takes the show to another level. I can't wait to dive into the next season, because if it's anything like this first one, we're in for tons of great content. At peak performance, I give Oshi no Ko a 4.5 out of 5 with a recommendation to buy it. It's a series I can easily see myself watching again, and one that I would definitely share with friends and family. Give it a watch if you haven't, and get ready to be a fan. Yeah, so Oshi no Ko, fantastic series. Definitely watch it if you haven't yet, guys. And we're down to our final review. So come back tomorrow. Let's finish this off with a bang. Until then, everybody, stay safe out there and have a good one.